Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a different kind of video, uh, not regarding video games or music that I usually do on this channel, something a bit different. And I wanted to answer the question, um, is the IT market really cooked? Is artificial intelligence, or AI for short, gonna take over in the next few years? All that stuff. And I'll try to make this video as short as I can, but I think it will be a bit long, so sit tight and enjoy. So, to start this off, I have to give you a bit of background of my personal histories so that we can get on track with that. But, long story short, I did sciences and technologies in high school, like almost 15, 16 years ago. I'm already 41, almost 42, and I failed at 10th grade. I failed maths exam on my 12th grade, so I got to take another year of it. So I was like 5 years just to finish high school. I finished it around 18. Um, Eventually got clever, studied a bit more, got through everything. Eventually came around, went to college, didn't really know what to take, so I decided to follow architecture at the time, and I was already 20 by this point. Um, because I was good at descriptive geometry and stuff like that. That was like my highest grade in sciences and technologies during my high school years. So I went to architecture, stayed in architecture for 3 years, did some subjects. Eventually came to the conclusion it wasn't for me. Changed it to design. um, and I like some subjects from architecture that were directly transferred to design because both areas are similar. So I got like half that bachelor's, then eventually started working, didn't finish either of them. Just didn't think art was for me. I still like architecture and design, but I was always like a tech guy and a computer nerd, so that was more my stuff, and eventually where I ended, which I'm gonna get to in a few minutes. Um, and during this 6 years in college, I was there. I enjoyed college life. I got drunk a lot, partied, did all that stupid shit for like 5 6 years during my 20s, and I was a pretty extroverted guy, and I was pretty high all the time. I loved to party a lot. I loved to drink, and I didn't really care much about it. My parents, of course, paid for everything, right? So I don't have anything to say in that. No, I feel the guilt and the shame of it, but what's done is done. So, and during these 6 years of college, when I was studying architecture and design, during summer breaks, I worked in logistics around my town area, like in a warehouse, to make some money during summer, so that I could buy something that I wanted, like a new console, video game, or just save some money for later the year if I wanted to do something with my friends, all those kinds of stuff. So by this time, I was already starting to enter the workforce little by little. Eventually, I came around. I got out of my college town. I came back home and I started working in like warehouses, logistics, all that stuff. I jumped like from one work to the next. I was like some months in one place, then I jumped to another. Eventually, I came around like between 21 and 22. I came around to a work where I stayed like a year and a year and a half almost, and I was gonna stay there. Like I was gonna get into the company's boards and not have to worry about contracts and all that shit anymore. Eventually, I had like they were making us work a lot. We didn't have holidays. We kind of had to go around the boss like knocking on his door. Where is my fucking holidays? All that stuff. But back then, I was like an angry kid. To a certain point, I've always been a calm and good person, but I was hot-headed. That's better adjective to characterize me in my 20s. I didn't have real world experience by this time that I was jumping from one work to another. I was just, trying to find something that I like and that fits me, that pays better and better. But yeah, no luck up until that point. Eventually, I quitted that job, and I was searching for like the next opportunity that I could find. Eventually, I found like a truck mechanic internship around here, which I've never done before. I didn't even know how like a fucking engine of a car worked, much less of a truck. I learned the basics, of course. I was like three weeks into this internship, and a friend of mine that had worked with me and still worked in my previous job said that he was gonna do a course in IT systems and programming, which is here in Portugal. It's called a TESP, which basically is like Alpha Bachelor's degree where you have 3 semesters of subjects, and then the final semester is like an internship, an academic internship that you have to do because it's like part of the course. So he told me he was gonna do this. He asked me if I wanted to come to try and get, a course that would give me real world skills to help me get into a field that I like and all that stuff. And I was like, well, since I had failed at college previously and I never really gotten into computer course or something like that, I said yes, and I said, yeah, fuck this, why not try and maybe go do it and see what happens. So I did, and I went. And before I started that, while I was like studying architecture and design, I've always had a knack for computer engineering. I was always wondering and asking people of those courses what it was like. I always had my curiosity up there, and eventually I came to learn a lesson in life, which was um, your eventual life is gonna set you in the place where you belong. In my case, it was computers. So no matter which different courses I tried to attempt to find myself, I eventually ended where I belonged, which was like with the computer nerds and the IT guys. So after 1 month of that mechanical truck internship, I left it. Eventually, at the end of summer, before starting the TSP in programming and IT systems, I found a job at the Portuguese mail company in a shop in the town where I was gonna study. After work hours, post work, I wanna say like between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. Okay, so I had found a place to work during the day from like 9 to 6, and then afterwards I went to study and went into university. So for the next 2 years between 2023 and 2025, I did that, and I've always lived with my parents, still do so. I always had their help and their background. If anything went wrong, I was secure, and I still am. We'll get to that in a few minutes. And after 1 year at the Portuguese mail company, I quit, and for the last semester I was home. I studied. I got pretty good grades. I finished like my average for the course subjects was like a B, a 15, which here in Portugal and in most European countries I think it was like between 0 and 20, where 10 is average, 15 is B, and 20 is like an A, the max. Between 18 and 20 it's an A. So, and I got some A's. I got some good marks. My lowest marks on subjects in this course were networks and cybersecurity, which I like. I don't hate it, but just not something that I really enjoy in the IT field. But the course was pretty complete in terms of knowledge, because we did everything. We did like linear algebra, analytical maths for computer science that you need to know at least a bit so that you can get the basics done if you're gonna work in a field like data analytics or something. Programming, of course, which was like the main subject of this course, mainly focused on Android and front and back end web development with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, all that stuff. Eventually, we also did Java, object-oriented programming in my free time. I studied C, C Sharp, C++, SQL for databases because we had like databases 1 and 2. So yeah, and in a perspective of relational databases like Snowflake and Star Schema. Not we didn't study NoSQL, MongoDB, for example, all those non-relational databases stuff. We didn't study that. We did JSON and some other stuff. So we have a pretty solid toolbox that the course gave us for the IT field, which I think it's pretty good. And it definitely set me on the track of wanting to become a professional programmer, which I still aspire. I haven't had any luck so far, but yeah, I did that. So after finishing the 3 semesters of lecture subjects, I eventually came to my internship, and the internship was in Helpdesk at a local company here around in my area, because the college had like partnerships with companies, and we couldn't pick which ones we wanted. We could like just tell the teachers, professors, where do you like to go to do your internship, and they would try for that year what was available, and they gave us that. So obviously I would have like a sure have gotten into a programming internship, and my programming professor tried, but with no luck at that point, because companies at this day and age are um, they're pretty hard on your background and on what they want even for a programming internship. So yeah, there was that. So I got the help desk internship, stayed there for 4 months between April of last year, 2025, and July, which was when I finished. So what did I did at that internship? Not much, you know. Internships depending on the companies. They teach you some basic stuff, nothing you already don't know. But you mostly spend your time, especially in computers and IT field. You spend your time like, especially in help desk, solving day-to-day, everyday problems that people have, like maybe switching a computer's RAM, a disk, fixing something like a virus has gotten into their systems. You there, you run an antivirus analysis, network IP ping test, all that stuff. Many stuff related to networks in terms of enterprises. So yeah, eventually I finished that. Presented my final project, got like another B16 or 17, got pretty good marks, finished it, got my degree paper, and bye bye, I went ahead. So after that, I eventually talked to a woman here in my town that worked for a major IT consulting company in the capital, Lisbon. I asked her which company it was. I was looking for a job. She helped me. I got into it, and the TSPs always, since they're alpha bachelor's degree, they always give you um, direct access to a bachelor's on the same field. For example, after that, and after getting into that company and starting to work as a network monitor, doing shifts every week or so, I decided to go directly to computer engineering, and I started it. Was also having good marks for the first semester, and then things turned around because I was like in that IT consulting company, which is one of the major ones in the world. I'm not gonna mention names because I don't want to divulge too much personal work information. But I decided to leave because I wasn't acquiring any real skills. And any person could do that job because it was just like monitoring networks and opening tickets, managing tickets. and talking to the level one technical teams, they were the ones that would solve the technical problems. So you were like just an intermediate between the technical teams and the client. You didn't really solve any technical problems per se. So yeah, I wasn't learning anything. I decided to quit, which I regret now. Of course, I should have continued them, but what did I know before then? Um, Eventually, I decided to quit computer engineering because I was paying, didn't have a job after that. I haven't had a job since then, and now I've been at home for like almost 5 months, which gets me to the present moment, right? Which is since I started at TSP in computer programming and IT systems. Of course, I got into LinkedIn, all the social working networks that are available to you, Indeed, IT jobs, all that kind of stuff. Trying to find jobs, connecting with people. Gotten some interviews, never gotten a job. Uh, Before that, still looking for my first job in programming. Not gonna give up, of course, because giving up means like throwing the towel and then you really fuck it. But yeah, there's that. So is like the IT market cooked? At which point are we? And I'm talking. This was my background experience, and I don't have any in programming as a professional. Still looking for a job, but if you go to like LinkedIn or you start networking on a place like LinkedIn, which is like the Facebook or Instagram of social media, I think it's like the main hub for jobs like IT, human resources, economics, all that shit. Um, it's like the main hub, the place where you start usually before start networking and or getting into less known networks like Indeed or that stuff. I think LinkedIn is a good starting point. And like me, many people are in the same boat, right? Because a lot of jobs, especially for junior positions, be it programming, database administration, system administration, network administration, data, even data analytics, you name it, you know. Junior positions these days are pretty hard to come by because, first of all, the curriculum that they're asking for is like a senior's curricular level for a junior entry position, which is just stupid, but it is what it is. The market makes the demands, not college. A college can give you a toolbox, and is it a good place to start and to acquire skills and learn? Yeah, I think so, obviously. Um, Nothing is guaranteed, but having a degree and a bachelor, if anything, besides boosting your chances, it will give you the confidence and the knowledge, like a starter pack, to get you up front and differentiate you from the people that don't have anything. If you're competing with people just on the same level as you that don't have any previous experience, of course, a bachelor's degree or a TSP like mine is gonna put you ahead of the curve, right? But besides that, on the front lines, there's always gonna be the people that came before and that have real work experience, like developers that have like 5, 10, 15 plus years of experience. Of course, they're always gonna be ahead. And I've seen a lot of devs and people in my area of expertise talking like how hard it has been for them in these last few years since AI appeared and started to become a thing, finding a job. Many of them with, like I said, 5, 10 years of experience that have gotten into layoffs and are doing the same stuff that I do, networking. I mean, what else are you gonna do to find a job or try to get into a position, you know? So yeah. And yeah, man, it hasn't been easy. Definitely not the best year as a start, and not the best place in time right now to maybe get into a job in this position. But yeah, is IT still worth studying? Yeah, of course. I think if you love computers, programming, if you're just a curious person like I am, um, besides trying to get into the job, I would say go ahead, do like a certification or something in an IT field or something else that you enjoy and like gonna boost your experience, of course. I'm gonna give you a bit more of an edge when it comes to interviews and all that stuff. And the recruitment process is pretty hard because you're competing sometimes against hundreds of people worldwide, even for local companies or for places in your own country. So yeah, there's that. And many of the times, I would say most of the times, like 90% above, many of these positions are going to be through different phases of interview. So you can make it like past the first and second phase and get done at the third, for example, or even before that. So there's also that, yeah. And it's true that to a certain extent, I think, from what I've seen from my own experience, from people I talk to, from devs experience that I see on YouTube and all that stuff, I think it's real that AI is taking over many jobs, automating tasks, taking work from people, and it's probably only gonna get better in the future. And after getting to know AI and getting a taste of what it can do and taking autonomous tasks and all that stuff, of course, companies are not gonna want to go back. And if you are like a CEO or something of a big world company, if you could have like, I don't know, 50, 100 robots or AI agents doing work for free, faster and better at a better pace, why would you want to hire people anymore if you're gonna profit even more with robots, right? So it's obvious, it's the obvious choice to make. I'm not criticizing businesses or companies on that regard. But there's this point, of course, where AI is not perfect. It's not gonna take over just everything, at least just yet. Um, and at this point in time, it's a bit hard to say if we're heading towards a future that's really, really be taken over by AI and robots and eliminate a lot of uh, work positions that before AI became a thing were made by humans, like programming, human resources, Excel data sheet stuff, all that those kinds of jobs. It's a bit hard to say, and in my opinion, just an honest thought, I think we're gonna get to a point where some people are gonna start backlashing a bit at AI because a lot of people, especially older generations, I'm a millennial, but older generations, mine included to a certain point as well, don't like AI, still prefer to be like working with humans, all that stuff. And I just think there are some things that AI is never gonna do better than humans, just because even though it has access to the internet database and can learn anything in just a few seconds like this, um, I think some jobs and some places um, might just be replaceable in terms of what a human can do. But yeah, that's just me saying. But of course, people have been saying that the ones that are going to be ahead of the curve are going to be the people that work with AI, of course. And I'm not saying it's not important. In this day and age, you should definitely learn AI, even more so if you're in IT like me and you're looking for a first position in programming or something that you love. Because it's here to stay, it's not gonna go anywhere anytime soon. Eventually, I think we're just gonna reach a point where things will like equilibrium themselves, They will level and set themselves naturally. Because when the calculator appeared, mathematicians thought they were gonna be out of jobs and they weren't. So I think AI is just another tool to help us automate tasks and help us get work done faster and better, of course. And besides that, I would like to go back to computer engineering eventually, but just right now I'm just focused on finding a job, and if I don't find something on IT, I'm gonna have to find something somewhere else until I do, and that's that. We have to make money. Besides that, I program from time to time. I still try to learn some new things that I don't know in the IT field. I don't think much more certifications like Udemy or stuff like that are gonna help me because I already have like a pretty deep knowledge of general IT and computers and stuff. I think I'm good and set with that. So what I'm trying to study a bit more and learn and understand is like business perspectives, ideas, and maybe a way to start my own business one of these days. And get another source of income besides the main work that I will eventually do. But I'm just trying at this point to navigate the curve, and it has been hard for me and for a lot of people worldwide, not just here. And I know that just don't let that discourage you of going and doing a course, studying something that you like, maybe taking a degree and further deepen your knowledge and your skill set, because right now in 2026 we're here. The war is going around in the Middle East. Things aren't easy for everyone. It's been hard, but we're trying to get across. And you don't know like what the next years are gonna be. So just because right now we're in a recession doesn't mean that the market won't collapse and new jobs looking for humans and people again will come up. And even if the recruitment processes in like networks like LinkedIn and stuff are hard, man, just got to play the game like everyone else and got to try, because if you don't try, what else are you gonna get? So there's that, yeah. But yeah, man, I think it's like kind of a relative conversation. Like you can study data analytics and try to, you know, foresee what the market is gonna be in like 1 to 5 years, 10 years down the road. But it's one thing to make predictions and what's really gonna happen. So yeah, there's that. It's always hard to say, right? But I think right now AI like is getting a bit of backlash in all kinds of industries, not just IT systems and the computer field and all that stuff, or human resources, or anything that has to do with the big corporate world, administration desk types of work. So yeah, for example, in cinema and video games, if you have been paying attention to any of the news lately, it's obvious like some studios, for example, in the video game industry are starting to take a step back because people don't want to have video games 100% made by AI be replaced like human artistic expressions and all that stuff. So yeah, there's that. And cinema, the same thing. I think a lot of the newer movies that have come out are a bit of crap. Not all of them, of course. There are still good movies and series that come out, but they're getting rare these days because people are putting in too much computer effects and relying on artificial intelligence instead of like relying on real world actor skills, for example, to make a movie and put more expression and history into it. But that's just my opinion. And yeah, it's hard to say where we're gonna end up next, but the only road going forward from here is like to not give up, keep your head high, further your skill set, and just play the game, man, like everyone else. So this was just like kind of a rant, I know, but just talking a bit about my experience. telling people that they're not alone if they're in the same position like me, which I know a lot of people out there are. And don't let it get you discouraged. Know that the, just because hundreds of people have more experience than you or are getting to the positions, and maybe you will get stuck at some part of the interview process or something, doesn't make you less valuable as a person or a professional. Uh, the demands that companies put out there, what they're seeking right now, are very specific positions, with very specific types of knowledge and experience. And I don't know, man, it could continue like this for the next 20, 50 years. It could backlash, which I think it's gonna backlash. Like I said, I think the market is gonna get stable again. I think AI has come to stay. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. That's for sure. But I just think that saying that AI is gonna take over everything, I think it's a bit of an overstatement. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think many jobs are still gonna get done by human hands. And try to further as much of your skill set as you can. Study new things. Just because, let's say, you did a course in human resources, man, try to study IT businesses, data analytics, all that stuff. Further your skill set and get knowledge, because knowledge is everything. And eventually, you'll probably learn something. So, yeah, with that, I'm out. Thanks for watching.